McLaren has secured quite the coup by tempting Max Verstappen's long-serving race engineer Gianpiero Lambiase away from Red Bull when his contract expires at the end of 2027 to bolster and enhance their stellar lineup of senior leaders. Lambiase, who's worked with Verstappen since the Dutchman joined the team for the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, has since built up one of the closest driver-engineer partnerships on the grid and has been weighing up a move away from Red Bull for a while, so it wasn't a massive surprise. His destination, though, was expected. Aston Martin chased him hard last year as Lawrence Stroll has kind of invested a lot of the team, including Adrian Newey and Cardile from Ferrari, but at least two other teams, McLaren, also sounded them out on the downflow, giving Lambiase a good idea of what was a good offer. At the same time, he was assessing what life might have looked like if he stayed there on the end of his Red Bull deal. Lambiase has been interested in a senior management role, and that led Red Bull in recent years to do what it could to extend his role far beyond his duties as Verstappen's engineer, as it believed he had become one of the most influential voices of the team. But when the reigning world champions McLaren came calling with an offer of chief racing officer in support of Andrea Stella with a focus on running the trackside team, it was a big opportunity and proved too enticing to ignore. It wasn't about McLaren preparing for life without Stella, but rather an opportunity to free Stella up to focus on overall leadership and make the most of his impressive skill set. Stella was covering the duties Lambiase will take on. It was always the intention to find support with the most leading structures in F1, employing a suite of senior management due to the significance of the job and running a team across the factory and a track. McLaren are an increasingly impressive proposition. Not only have they proved they have what it takes to win a world championship and defend it, in recent years they've took steps to future-proof the teams by giving out long-term stability. They know they need to consistently get stronger to remain at the front of the pack, which is why over the last few years they've moved to strengthen across the board, bringing in the likes of Rob Marshall, Will Courtney from Red Bull, and Lambiase too. It feels like McLaren are only just going to get stronger in terms of morphing himself into consistent world championship candidates, and he'll complement an increasingly improving senior leadership team. It'll be a tough one to take for Red Bull though, who have seen several key personnel depart, including Christian Horner, Helmut Marko, Jonathan Wheatley, Craig Skinner, and Verstappen's chief mechanic Matt Kohler. On one hand, it's not uncommon for a turnover of staff during a fallow period that comes after a period of success, but the number is significant. Red Bull will need to reverse the trend of departure and start attracting some high-profile names of their own to replace the likes of Newey or Marshall. Lambiase's contract runs until the end of 2027, meaning he won't start work at McLaren until 2028. It remains to be seen whether the two parties will then that deal early. They did just what they agreed before Whitley left to join Audi, but they held out much longer when McLaren went for Courtney. Boss Laurent Mekies has his work cut out in trying to revitalise the team that impressively kept Verstappen in a title fight until the end last year, but it's now paying the price for that with an undeveloped car. The latest loss is not ideal, but Mekies has been working hard to bring in a new field to Red Bull, and he will retain belief to write a new chapter in Milton Keynes to lay the foundations for another period of Red Bull dominance. But yeah, Lambiase and Verstappen have built a formidable partnership. Full world titles, 71 Grand Prix. Given how close they are, it's unlikely news will come into a shock for Verstappen. While losing someone who's become part of his inner circle isn't ideal, he's pragmatic about these things, and in isolation it's unlikely to kind of trigger the decision on his future. However, it is another factor that will form part of the discussion. Verstappen has been mourning for some time now, with Mercedes having held talks with him. While he has a contract until the end of 2028, there are believed to be get-out clauses, as is the case with most F1 contracts, and it's likely that if Red Bull don't dramatically improve their form, Verstappen will be able to kind of use those clauses. He's enjoyed the toughest start to the season since 2018, so it's natural he's frustrated with his start. He must now decide whether or not he fancies the task of bringing Red Bull back to the front, try with like with another team, or decide to take a break from F1, and much will depend on how Red Bull kind of start to move forward over the next few races. Hey guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share and subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.